All right, the windshield is in. There it is. This project's not for the faint of heart. It took me all day to do it, and to be truthful with you, this is the second attempt. I broke the first glass. If you can find a professional, go ahead and do it. If not, if you feel like you might want to try it and attempt it yourself, then here we go on this video. We'll show you everything that we did right, everything that we did wrong, and all the struggles to getting this thing in, but we got it. So if you're interested in seeing this, stay tuned. Welcome back to another episode of Restoring Christine. Bill here, getting really close to finishing Christine. I got another month to go. What we're going to cover in this video is one single thing, installing this front windshield. And this video is all about redemption. I already had the windshield that was in Christine from the time I had her. I had it in, I had it 95% of the way in, and at the absolute last second, I had a gap over here where I could see daylight, and I was thinking, well, that thing needs to seat a little bit more, and I forced it, and I forced it a little bit too hard, and broke it. It shattered over here, and broke my heart in the process. So I ordered a new windshield, and I had a lot of soul searching as far as what did I do right, and what did I do wrong, and that's what this video is going to include. It's going to include everything that went right and everything that went wrong, and we're going to filter out all the wrong stuff. I'm going to tell you all about it and show you what I think is the complete correct way to do this. Now, let's get started. So let's start off with the first bit of the lessons. I was installing this back glass, and I watched a few videos on how to install both the front and the back glass, and I researched it and researched it and researched it. And the first thing was I found this one video that had somebody that explained was the best. I thought it was the best method. He took a 3M sealant and he opened up every joint in the rubber gasket, and he put this sealant, this 3M sealant, all the way around, had it on a bench, put it on a windshield, and then put sealant in the other groove, and then went up through with a rip cord and pulled it in, and it all popped in like everything was hunky-dory rosy fine. I went to my auto paint store and I asked him for 3M part number, whatever it was, and it was a window glazing compound. And the guy quickly says, don't make it anymore. He says, I haven't been able to find a substitute. So I said, well, all right, well, what are they selling for that kind of stuff now? And he goes, well, they don't have a substitute. Well, gotta have something. So he sells me a urethane, a 3M urethane window sealant that was only one part number different from the one I was looking for. So I took it. And that sealant made the biggest mess you could ever imagine. That, and it was setting within like 10 minutes. It didn't give me enough working time to go all the way around. It didn't give me enough, and then once it did, it hardened in a shape. So it was like set. Once you put it in, that's what you were going to get. So if it wasn't flowing around the glass, if it wasn't flowing around the gasket, flowing once it sat in. So that was just wrong, 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 wrong. I pull this back glass. It was still on a bench. I pulled the gasket off, and I stripped all the sealant off, and I was very frustrated, and I did it without it. But I used a butyl tape instead. And there's another mistake that I made, and I'm going to show you that too. So this is everything we're going to use today. Some of it we're going to use, some of it we're not. All right. A lot of you are probably familiar with the Tri-Five guy. Goes by the name of Half Rods, his channel. Great guy, very knowledgeable, shares his knowledge, not knocking him at all. But one of the things that he had in his installation video was, he said, this 3M strip caulk. He says he's used it, and he pulls it out, and he shows you how it comes in a little strip. And you can use this, and you use this as a caulk all the way around. Well, you'll notice that this box is an absolute mess. I went to Advance Auto, and I paid $30-something for this box. And when I got it, there was no getting around the fact that all of this stuff was just a hot, sticky mess. It was next to impossible to work with. I couldn't get it in any of the caulk joints. I couldn't get it in any of the grooves. It was terrible. So I had a bad experience with this. Maybe in a cold climate, possibly, but I even tried putting this in a freezer and it didn't make a difference. So I went into my supplies and I had this, and this is butyl tape. This is black butyl tape. I had this for another purpose. I was doing some woodworking and I was doing vacuum bagging, and this is what you use for vacuum bagging. So this is nothing more than just synthetic rubber. I used this tape all the way around that glass, and you'll notice, see how much more cooperative this is? It's a wax back paper. I went and stuck this on the flange, used my thumb to press it on, peeled off the backing, and this stayed in place and was not a mess. The problem was, I got the glass in and everything worked fine. So the problem with this was like special order. It was hard to find. I tried to find the internet source that sold it, and every time I kept looking for this, what would come up was this on Home Depot's website. Butyl tape, 3/30 seconds thick. 3/30 seconds, yeah, thick by 1/2 inch wide, 50 foot long. And this butyl tape looks familiar, doesn't it? It is the same thing. Look at them side by side. It's the same thing. One is black and one is gray. I'm like, well, why? It can't possibly be the same if it's a different color, right? Because this is like asphalt, right? Isn't it? So I go and looking up, and what is butyl? Butyl is nothing more than a mixture of chemicals that makes a synthetic rubber. So, yes, it can be black. It can also be gray. And I'm pretty sure that that is all that this 3M strip tape is butyl rubber. That's it. It's the same. It impresses me to be the same. This is shiny only because it does that once it's set in the heat a little bit, and it kind of glosses up. But then look, these two are the same. There's no different. So say no to the 3M strip caulk. All right. So I'm going to use this butyl. I'll show you that in a second. The next thing I did was I conducted a little test to prove it to myself what this stuff was going to do. So I did it with the black butyl tape and not the gray, but I've already blended those two together. So what you see here is I was experimenting, and I said, well, I want a lubricant. And somebody uses silicone. One of these videos uses silicone, and silicone is like an enemy of paint. It's and I didn't know what it was going to do over the long term for this to adhere. So what I did is I said, well, you know what? WD-40 is a solvent to some degree. So I decided to try it on a test panel. So this is my sprayed panel when I was testing out colors for Christine. And I took some of the butyl and put it on the paint and said, all right, do you stick by yourself? What does that stick like? And that's what you get. All right. Then I said, well, all right, I cut up a piece of the gasket that I pulled out. And I said, well, okay, well, how well do you stick to rubber, to the gasket? And you can see it's pulling apart. It's adhering. All right, so then I said, well, let me spray this with WD-40 and let me put it down. So I've sprayed it with WD-40 and I put this down. And look, over time, it sticks. It doesn't peel up. You can see, actually, look, the WD-40 is still right there, so where I just smeared it over, look, it didn't stick, but where it has rested for a while, look, there's no pulling that off. So the WD-40 might even be acting like a primer. It'll smooth it in, it'll let it slide by, but then it'll maybe help mate the rubber, the butyl rubber, to the body and to the gasket. So let's see what it does with the gasket. Here's the rubber. Now I've been peeling on this. Let me go to the other side. There you go. You can see it's sticking. It's tearing it up. So WD-40, that's what we're going to use for a lubricant. We're going to use this. So let me show you what caused the original problem. I had it and I was pulling it in place, and in this corner over here, I had daylight. I had daylight right here. Now, Christine had a lot of rust, and I've rebuilt every corner of this roof. I've rebuilt the C-pillar and the package tray. I rebuilt the back corner of the roof. Same thing on the other side. I've got some videos on that. I'll put some links up here. I rebuilt this whole thing on both sides. I had to rebuild this whole cowl cover right here. But what happened was, right here, this piece was like only 1/4 of an inch. This flange was too low. So I decided to go ahead and repair this. So with my whole car painted, with everything painted, I came out here and I welded in an extension to this flange. I grinded all this smooth, clean, through blankets and tarps and everything else, and towels and everything I could think of to try to protect my paint. And I still got a little bit of a burnish mark. But I welded in a flange, did a little bit of body filler in here, sanded it down, masked it off, resprayed here to here and into here. So now this flange that I rebuilt previously wasn't high enough. Now it is. It's closer to the other side. The other side is factory. So what's all this talk about sealants? Okay, so these Tri-Fives, all these cars from back in the day, originally were designed to leak. They just accepted the fact. They have this rubber gasket, and there's this one video where you'll find it on YouTube. It's a guy, and he starts off the video, I'm going to install this windshield in a 57 Chevrolet. And that 57 Chevrolet, I can promise you, is leaking because there's no sealant on it. There needs to be sealant. Even though the factory didn't do it, that's the right way to do it with these to keep it from leaking. But I'm going to show you what the factory originally expected. The factory built a gutter all through here, a gutter. And you'll notice that my gutter's rotted. It's got rust here. I wasn't going to repair that. There's rust over there. I wasn't going to repair that. There's rust in here. But look, this whole gutter was supposed to let water come in and run, and then it was going to go into a little tube here, and then there would be a tube that came out, and that tube, its outlet, I think, might have been right here. I think that's where its outlet was. So it kind of invited it into the cowl and spit it out. And these rubber tubes and these rubber grommets, these little funnel inlets, they harden over time. But why in the world would you want moisture with a $3,000 or $4,000 or more interior? It's just ridiculous. So no, we got to put sealant. So that where do you put it? Well, the first video that I watched with all the sealant, that the guy applied it with a caulking tube, and he was using the old 3M sealant that I couldn't find. He applied it in every crevice. But then I read on some forums, lots and lots of forums, where everybody kind of agrees that you don't put it in the groove where the glass is, but you do put it where the body mates. So that's where we're going to put this butyl rubber. Now, I'm probably going to take an extra step, because I certainly don't want any water, and I am going to use that urethane enamel later. Once I get the glass in, after I get the glass in, I'm going to use that urethane on the inside of the sides and the bottom of the windshield, but not the top, because the water's going to try to run down, and as it hits that, I don't want it to go in the rubber gasket. I want it to shed off. So I'm probably going to put a little bit of sealant on 3 sides, and that between the butyl rubber all the way around, mainly on the top, and between the urethane on the inside on the gasket. It should not leak a drop. So let's get started putting this in. I ordered a new glass from Classic Industries, and this is how it came. It was in a box, huge box, with another huge box on the inside of it, and there was the expandable spray foam all the way around it. But they used so much bubble wrap. This thing was never going to break. Famous last words. This was never going to break, but they even used a pool noodle or some, I don't know if that's a pool noodle or it's foam or whatever it is, but it's the same kind of material. Yeah, so this is not going to break. I managed to get a deal on the glass. I shopped around, and it had to come truck freight, and that's not cheap. So they bundled the entirety of my order. I had some other pieces between the gasket and the glass, and some little small parts that they had that I wanted. It all came in the same truck freight box. So I had it delivered to a business address, and it wasn't delivered to my house, but it was only the box. The entire box was only 50 pounds. All right. So let's go over a few part numbers. The windshield itself, this is going to be part number TF 41013B, 5556 2 or 4 door sedan windshield, tinted. So it's the green tint, and it's also got the upper 4 or 5 inches are tinted. And then the gasket. The gasket is also original equipment reproduction. And this is part number TF300088, 55 through 57 Chevy windshield seal. So both of them are OER. The tag that's on the glass is over there. I'll show that when I flip it. But let's go over this seal. So this seal is going to have a top and a bottom, and inside and an outside. It definitely has a direction. You'll notice that there's a splice, and in the splice on 2 sides, on one side of the splice there is 1, 2, 3 grooves. On the other side of the splice, one of the grooves dies out, and it's solid. See here? Okay. This is the groove where the stainless goes. So you're supposed to put the seal on the windshield, and then the stainless into the seal, and then you bring it to the car. Okay, so the part that goes to the body is this bottom seal. So you'll see on the back side there's some grooves, and this is the part that goes over your pinch weld. So this seal right here. Then the glass goes into this one, all the way around. So what we need to do is we need to get this twisted and untangled, untwisted and untangled, flipped around, put it on a glass, and then we'll slip it over the glass into this groove. All right, as you uncoil it, you'll notice, all right, there's the two seams. Bring those to the outside edge, and make sure you got your interior and your exterior, because of course where the outside curve goes, that's where your stainless steel is going to be. So you want that part to be to the outside, of course, so that's where this is going to go. But what we want to do is we want to start in the middle. So I'm going to mark a middle on the glass, I'm going to mark a middle on the gasket, I'm going to put the middle on, and I'm going to tape it in place, because that's another thing. This thing is like a slippery eel, and you start getting it on one spot and it'll come off, and it'll start peeling off when you're working over here, then it comes off over there, and you're constantly chasing 2 different ends. So let me go ahead and mark that, and we can get started on it. Finding the middle of the gasket's pretty easy. Just take the 2 seams, put the 2 seams together, and then stretch it out straight, pinch it, and there's the center, right here. Finding the center of the glass is a little more tricky because you can't measure it very easily. It's a curved surface. So we're going to use gravity to do it for us. You'll see I got it balanced on a bar, on a round dowel. And we're going to teeter-totter this. Let's teeter into the right, still to the right, now to the left. That's close enough for government work. It's right about here. That's where the center of that glass is without measuring it. So once you get it started, I've worked my way around the top and the other side. This is very frustrating. I'm not going to lie to you. It is difficult and challenging with getting this thing to go on right. And it wants to stick, it wants to twist, it doesn't want to cooperate. You gotta be patient and just work with it. And once you get a little bit of it on and you get it to where it's like, okay, here it goes, tape it, lock it down, because it will want to come off. It will invite itself to be someplace else other than the glass. Just keep working this all the way around. And the hard part is closing it, is when you get it around these edges and getting it to like start going back in the other direction, because it's really taut. All right. So far so good. So far so good. All right, I had good luck starting on the bottom, in the middle, working around part of the way, working around part of the way, and working these two corners. But man, if you weren't doing it with this tape, you've got to tape it, because if not, it is going to come off in your lap. Come on. There we go. All right, I'm gonna tape that down so it doesn't come off, and then we're gonna do the next step, which is going to be to insert the string, the rip cord. So we're gonna do that next. So I'm using, this is probably an 1/8 inch diameter, it might be 3/16, but I'm using, this is I guess is I don't know if this is nylon or polypro. I'm not sure what this is, but anyway, I got this in a big long spool from Tractor Supply. So I'm going to take this. It's the same cord I used before. So I'm just going to divide it in two, find the middle, and we're going to start with the middle. And now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to start with the middle in the top of the glass and come all the way down to the bottom, because we're going to rip it from the bottom all the way to the top. So the tool that I'm using to put that string in is my drum brake tool. This is a tool that's used for drum brake springs, but it happens to have a rounded end, and that's all I really care about. You can use a wooden dowel or whatever, and I sprayed WD-40 on this, and I'm going to show you. So on this, I'm just inserting the string into the groove where the pinch weld goes. So I've already started it here. Just going to run it down. Taking my tape back all the way around. All right, last few bits. The reason why I'm still leaving the tape on it is because as I'm spinning it around and moving it and rotating it on this table, fooling with it, it's you know, you can easily just have the rubber will come off. It'll find a way to just wiggle its way off of the groove. So I'm using the tape to hold it while I'm doing this. But the tape is getting ready to come off pretty soon. So it's served its purpose. Once we get stable, then we'll be able to pull it off. Now you'll notice, look, the other side I came past center and into here. Now this one I'm going to go past center into there. And that's it. All right, next step. Now we're going to put the butyl tape on. So you'll notice there's some remnant from the butyl tape that was there before. So I got that cleaned off as much as I could. I need to at least reach past center. Put this in here. Tack it down. You don't want it to be sticking over the flange, but if it does stick over the flange, you can move it, or you can cut it. But we're going to go all the way around with this butyl tape. Now look how easy this is. You know, there's other videos that you watch and they'll show trying to stick it in the groove and all that other kind of stuff. Nope. This is the way to go. This is the way to go. I was like I said, I was 90% of the way, 95% of the way home before, and missed it by that much. Make sure that it's good and flat. Peel off the wax paper. Look, that's a good tape joint right there. And sealant. That's going to help, you know, with the heat too. So it doesn't harden. So with the heat, it's going to melt its way into place. So it may not be watertight immediately, but over time, it'll definitely be watertight. And the only water tightness that we really need is car washes, because I don't plan on driving in the rain. But still, you don't, you know, you might get caught. You might get caught out in the rain. It's that Led Zeppelin song, "Fool in the Rain." I was getting the lead out earlier this week. The whole song, "Fool in the Rain." At the end of it, he's like, he's wondering, why is this girl not showing up? I'm out here, I'm waiting. And then towards the end, he says, "I'm just a fool waiting on the wrong block." Let me finish this. That's enough of that silliness. All right, let's take a look at it. Here's what it looks like all the way around. So I did, you know, where there's splices, but look, this stuff, it's so malleable that this kind of stuff, if you get it little bumpy, you can mash it. But I had to, you know, where it's turning corners, I'll probably put another little piece. I'll probably reinforce this and put a second little piece on that. I did here, I doubled it up here in the corners because I want enough material to flow in the heat. Shouldn't flow that much, but it you know, I want to make sure I've got something that's gonna try to self-heal. So I put 2 levels over here. I overlapped here, overlapped here. So I'll probably do the same thing over there, but that's gonna be it. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some WD-40 in the groove that goes over the pinch weld, which is where we put that rope. So I'm gonna put some WD-40 in that to help seat this. As simple as this. Just spritz it in the groove. That's it. I went all the way around and did that. So now I'm going to pick it up. Here's another tip. Go to Harbor Freight. $3 a piece. This will help you tug and pull and push without having to beat on it. So this will help you carry it. It'll help you, you know, these little suction cup thingies. So they just go on, boop, and you can lift the whole thing. They're plenty strong enough. $3 at Harbor Freight. Let's go ahead and pick this thing up, set it in place, and I'll start pulling it in from the inside. All right, I almost forgot my stainless. I need to flip this thing over and put the stainless on. All right, I got the stainless on. My ripcord taped. I got my Harbor Freight handles on. Got the center of the window marked. Drop it in right there. Right there. Take a look at both sides and see. I'm off about 3/8 of an inch over here. And a little bit more over here, so the glass is a little off. So it needs to go to that side. Push it. Push a little more. About now 1/2 to 3/4. And about the same. All right, so the glass is more or less centered, and we just need to make sure it's on that pinch weld. I'm going to take a look at that on the inside. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to work this thing from 2 different sides. I'm doing this for myself, so not bad for $3. Now that I'm satisfied that I'm centered, I'm going to give it a little bit of a helping hand by doing this. Get it to wiggle over that bottom. It's already starting to come down over here. Corners are the hard part. I haven't even started pulling the ripcord yet. Get that set up. Yeah, it's up a little bit on that side. All right, let's start with the ripcord and start pulling it. And you can see the pinch weld. You can see where this is. So this one needs to come this way. Which one was over which? There we go. This one goes the other way. And it should flip the gasket over the pinch weld. And I can see it. It's pulling. It's pulling. Pulling it in. Same thing over here. Alright. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Alright, I'm gonna stop right there. Get this one a little bit more. Yeah, that's about it. I need to pull it down. Yep. Get some weight over here. Do them both. Yep. Alright. I think what I need to do, I might need to give it a little bit of a helping hand with the dental pick. So in case it starts to pop out, yep. Where you can only get so close to the corner. Alright. And this is how I broke it last time, was I was beating on the outside. Don't do that. Alright, this flange looks a lot better. This one needs some work. You can see what it's looking like. It's close. It's close. I'm so worried about those corners, because that's what was fighting me before, but that glass was sitting in there for several weeks broken, and it looked like it seated it towards the end. I'm also nervous about this. I'm hoping that glass is in the right position, but man, that curve, it's fitting the curve well so far. So I just need to be patient. All right. Let's see if this will fit. I doubt it if this will fit in the corner. No, it won't fit in the corner. I wish it would. Wish it would. Pulling the ripcord. See? Oh man. Yeah. The ripcord's coming out, but it's not seating. Oh man. How about that side? I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. So I'm starting to pull it on the top and pull it in, and I'm trying to work two sides. I can't get the corners just yet, so I think this is close. So I'm thinking that that's maybe holding the corners out. Maybe the corners are the last two things that go in. So that's what I'm working on. I'm working on getting this all the way across the top, but it's exhausting and it's difficult to film because I'm in the middle of it. So I pull the ripcord all the way out. It's gone. There's nothing left. So it is over the flange, all the way across the top, but not in the corners and in the bottom. So not quite sure what needs to shift where, but I gotta work this. So I know the old glass was in it, And I didn't change much of this flange, so it should go. Just need to be patient. So, trudging on. All right, it is in. I'm not gonna lie to you, that was hard. That was really hard. It doesn't fit just right over here. I can't explain this. I don't know why it won't seat, but I'm still trying to get that. But it's all the way around. It's a little tight over here. I don't know if the glass is just shoved a little slightly bit this way, or the body is warped, or the glass isn't just right, or what. But I'll be able to make that work. I will be able to make that work. Whew, now to clean it up. And yeah, hope that it doesn't leak. That's gonna do it. I'm not gonna say that this is the perfect way to do it. I'm not gonna say this is gonna work for everybody. You're definitely gonna need some time with a pick if you use it sealant. But I'm telling you, I can't see how the glass would not leak without that butyl rubber. So that's what I'm doing. You can do what you want. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. Hopefully you learned something. Learned what to do, what not to do. Even if what I did is what you shouldn't do. Either way. But anyway, my glass is in. That's what I'm going with. I'm going to continue on, but that's going to do it for this episode. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, if you enjoy my channel, I'd love a subscription. So until I see you next time, please take care of yourself. Cheers.